Hello and welcome to Training Tuesday, where we go through weekly tips and tricks to make your career just a little bit more awesome. Now, this week we are talking about feedback, which is one of those things that a lot of people struggle with. Now, in order to talk about feedback, I wanted to share a story from a workshop I ran back in June in California for a company. It was a 3-day annual meeting that I ran, and I went in and worked with a lot of millennial managers to help them hone their skills, engage their teams better, all that kind of fun stuff. And it was great. When I came back, I felt top of the world, and as we sent out the post-training survey, I was super pleased with the responses I was getting back. That is until, of course, I got one response that was a little less than shiny. So I have a couple things printed out, and as I was reading through my feedback, there were all of these great things. You know, the content was better than other annual meetings. I liked all the takeaways. I loved our speaker and facilitator, Chris. But immediately, instead of reading those, my eyes went to the one that said, I thought many of Chris's activities to be very blatantly obvious and cheesy. Ouch, right? And that's what happens with feedback. A lot of people struggle with bypassing all of the great feedback and going straight into the thing that makes them feel less than great. But here's the thing about those is typically this is actually a great indicator that there's something to learn from this, because normally feedback that triggers you is something that a little piece of you is worried is true, right? And so, for example, if someone were to say to me, as a silly example, Chris, your hair is looking really green today, I would say, no, it's not. It wouldn't really faze me because there wouldn't be a piece of it that I thought was true. Opposed to, if someone were to say to me, hey Chris, your hair is looking like pretty, ashy today in its color, and I don't think it looks very good. Well, that might trigger me a little more because there's a piece of me that thinks maybe it does look a little ashy today. Maybe they're right and I'm wrong, right? So I really want you to think about those things when it comes to feedback, because it's compelling to go straight to the bad and dwell on it. But really, this is when you know that a piece of you thinks it's true and it's time to learn. That is my piece of feedback for you this week, and my tip for you is if there's something that's making you feel really poorly when it comes to feedback, recognize that part of you probably thinks it's true. Try and understand what it is that you can learn from it, and figure out what you can do differently as a result while releasing the attachment to it. Because sometimes you gotta bless and release the haters, appreciate them for the lesson they're giving you without dwelling on it and waking up in the middle of the night thinking about that one piece of negative feedback you got on your performance review. So if that's something you've struggled with, try those steps on for size. I know it's gonna make a huge difference. And if you need further support for stuff like this, check out 9 to Thrive. I've mentioned it a couple times on here. I'm officially opening the doors to the wait list this week, but it's a community built for just that, for people to be able to go in and say, hey, I got this really negative piece of feedback, and as much as I know I need to respond to it, a lot of me just doesn't want to, and to have a group who's there to rally around them. So I will drop the link below, join us, but if you have any questions about feedback in the meantime, reach out, and happy working.